Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of HuttCast, Mr. Tim Huttner.
Thank you, Sergeant-at-Arms. You can now take your post. The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individual and participants. These views and opinions expressed do not represent those of the host or the show. The opinions in this broadcast are not to replace your legal, medical, or spiritual professionals. Happy Sunday. Today is 3/24/24. That's right, 2424. And on HuttCast, it's going to be a Snowmageddon in the underground bunker. Undisclosed location, of course, but if you look around and watch the weather forecast, holy cow, we got some snow coming. Topics for today are going to be taxes, Minneapolis, the transportation tax. I don't know if any of the other cities have this, but oh yeah, that's a conversation. Uber and Lyft, Minneapolis. Again, common theme. Stand by, HuttCast. We'll be right back. Buying a gun is no ordinary purchase. Whether you're a hunter, competitive shooter, or self-defense is your priority, there are many kinds of guns and many kinds of training programs. You use your brain all the time. You will rarely need to use your gun. Before you find yourself in a situation where you need to make a critical decision, make sure your training is the best you can get. It could be the difference between life and death, or freedom or detention. For the best quality training, check out permittocarry.us. If you live in Minnesota or Wisconsin or even Florida, give Gene German a call, 612-388-2403. That's Permit to Carry US. Or call Gene German at 612-388-2403. Local sales tax and use. This is what I mentioned in pre-roll. In addition to the 6.875 Minnesota state sales tax, use taxable retail sales. Taxable retail sales. That means your stuff you buy. eBay, Amazon, whatever that is, you're getting nicked on it. 0.15 Hennepin County tax is all in the system this year for the ballpark. It has in parentheses on their website, ballpark. Okay. Now, 0.50 Hennepin County transit tax. Is that the tax we're talking about? I don't know. I mean, they take your pick. What do you call it? Transit tax. And the 0.75 metro area transportation tax effective October 1st, 23. Another one is a 0.25 metro tax for housing effective October 1, 23. Well, I'll tell you what. We got a whole lot going on here. All because we live in a county called Hennepin. Now, I don't know where you are in life, where you have your things, but I'll tell you what, you got to be wondering what's going on. So here's more of this that we're going to talk about. We have what I call the local sales and use tax, which we're pretty follow through. Mostly we do the job. For sure we do the job. We just want to make sure that everything gets paid in its fair, quote-unquote, share. Local sales tax and use. In addition to the 6.875 Minnesota sales tax and use retail sales in Hennepin County, or to a destination in Hennepin County, are subject to the following local sales tax and use laws, which, okay, we get it. There's things got to get paid for. But here's what they didn't tell you in the last cycle. Here's what they threw in things for you as. If you guys are listening local, you'll get it. If it's far away, you kind of got your own gig. And we're going to put 0.15 for Hennepin County tax ballpark. Not sure which ballpark that is. I'm thinking it's one of the big ones. They want to build a new one. I don't even know. But it's 0.15. Again, on top of 6.875. Hennepin County transit tax. Okay. For you guys who take the light rail, the LRT, it should be funding itself by now. Oh, wait, it can't. Because no one's taken that thing. It was a waste of time and money, but hey, nonetheless, we now get to pay for everybody who doesn't want to ride on it. First of all, if you're headed downtown, more luck to you. I prefer not to be anywhere near downtown. But if I'm going to go downtown, I'm going to do it on a felony train versus I don't know. I don't feel safe on it. That is my opinion. Hennepin County transit tax, 0.50. That's 0.5%. And then we've got another one called 0.25 metro area tax for housing effective November 1st. Effective October 1st, 2023. Area tax metro housing effective. I wonder what we're paying for in that. I'm sure they're online. I'm sure that they went well out of their way to teach you what you're paying for. Oh, wait, no, you're just the cash cow. All right, and the one for the reason I am actually doing this here, it is called the Metro Area Transportation Tax effective October 1st, 2023. For you those that don't know, the Metro Area Tax effective transportation is attached to a sales tax. Your sales tax. Okay, if you live in the Hennepin County metro area and you want to buy yourself a what have you on eBay, you're going to be subject to that new tax. And that tax is supposed to be associated to anything over $100. And here's what I'm not sure about is we have that tax, and it's attached to a $100 up limit. Imagine what you're paying for if you're buying an expensive something being shipped in. That's right, the 6.875, the 0.15, the 0.50, the 0.75, and the 0.25. Most of that tax is the Metro Area Transportation Tax effective October 1st. And you're thinking to yourself, why are we paying this? If I want to order something off at eBay and have it sent in, that you're going to get nicked on this? Oh yeah, they're going to attach it. Now here's another one, and I'm still doing the research on it. Kind of attached to this here deal. It's the delivery charge tax. Okay, I'll break it down as simple as I remember it from the conversation I had from somebody I cannot disclose their information name from. But let's say you buy an Uber and it costs you $200 to wherever you go. Well, it's subject to that tax because A, it's a sale that happened in Hennepin County. B, it was attached to where the purchase took place, because if they picked you up somewhere in Hennepin County and it's over $100, you get nicked. Let me break that down again for you. Let's take Uber out of the picture. I want to buy eBay stuff again. I spend $199.99 on something. That tax, over $100, gets nicked to your transportation. That fee, it's a delivery charge. It didn't have nothing to do with going to Hennepin County. It came through Hennepin County. So here they are, nicking you on the way in, nicking you when you made your taxes, when you created your check, your W-2s, etc. Well, I'll tell you what, there's kind of a whole lot going on here. And we've had a lot of taxes without representation for a long time, but when is this line going to be any clearer for people? Now, everybody pays too much tax, or you collect tax, one of the two. Or you're on the public roll dole, and you're collecting everything, and you don't care what happens out there as long as it's working your way. Eventually, you're going to come off that roll, and you're going to say, hey, I don't want to pay this, and you probably shouldn't. It's different when you're self-employed versus when you are employed. Because when you're self-employed, not only are you paying your portion of the tax, you're paying a part of the employee's portion of the tax. And all that stuff goes into the same pockets except yours. Now, you as an employee should kind of be upset with this. If an employer can afford to pay you X amount, and they ain't factoring in, they being a county of some sort, a municipality, are not factoring in that what I pay them comes out of your pocket. I can't afford to pay you more. I have X amount for this position. So Hennepin County wants to take 0.5, or your county wants to take 0.7, or whatever that is. So taxes do affect you. You just probably haven't put it all together saying, hold on here. You keep taxing the snot out of these companies, big, little, or small, and they're just going to go elsewhere, i.e. like not downtown. Downtown Minneapolis had a lot of major corporations pull the pin on them. I don't blame them in a bit. Absolutely wouldn't be there. On top of the increasing crime rate that you can't control, on top of all the, who wants to be downtown anymore? If you're that people, good for you, stay down there. No common sense business is going to end up down there going, hey, we'll fight the crime, we'll fight the taxes, Oh, no. So what I'm telling you guys is, pay attention to what you're paying and who you're paying it to. And remember, it happens in a ballot. Of course, the ballot's kind of tough right now because our state and Senate and everybody's got this whole way of voting. I won't say which letter we're involved with, but yeah. They're going to see how much, they're going to throw so much at the wall, so much crap, and see what sticks. That still ain't right. You shouldn't be saying, okay, we'll see what we can get away with. Their job is not to get away with it. Their job is to represent us, the people. I don't know. There's a whole lot of not common sense in our government these days. And you know, not all of the people in our government are crazy. Not many. Okay, maybe there's a couple. But you get my point, right? There's just so much uncommon sense. And in our next segment here, I want to prep you for this one because this totally floors me. It should floor you. When a county, a city, a government has to do with the free enterprise of our system. Oh, yeah. Like I said, I'll cover that in the next segment. I wanted you all to understand what was going on with this tax stuff. Because if you look at the big picture, it is so incredible. You know, you always say, well, what is a local tax use? Well, in a nutshell, the local tax use is similar to taxes that is collected on purchases that are taxable. Who decides that? But are not taxed at the local state rate. For example, out-of-state purchases. So Hennepin County has the authority to grab that, and the state of Minnesota don't. In addition to local tax on certain purchases made within the county, a local tax use is applicable to taxable purchases made outside of Hennepin County, residents and businesses. So the 0.7, 0.5, so 1.6% of your tax dollars goes to Hennepin County, at least in this hennepincounty.gov.us. I'll certainly give them the credits on this. It's I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that just needs to be gone away with, and I get it. I mean, stuff has to get paid for, but eventually we got to stop throwing good money after bad. I.e. our LRT, yeah. So again, people, I appreciate you tuning in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this over to the next segment, and we're going to have a conversation about the Hennepin County. No, let's make this a correction. Minneapolis and their way overreach of their authority. So stand by.
This grilling season, take your taste buds to the next level. The sauce that'll change your barbecue forever. O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce is going to be at the Anoka County Fair. O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce is all about that split second when the tender meat and delectable sauce touches your taste buds. Don't believe me? Chef Richard Cooper is bringing O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce to the Anoka County Fair so you can taste it and become a believer yourself. O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce, the sauce that's worth the wait.
All right, welcome back to HuttCast. So we got some stuff going on, and I want you all to hear it. But before I start, I'm going to start out with the proper credits. This is an article out of the CNN Business. Well, CNN Business in New York. It's about Lyft and Uber and all the companies that actually work with a subcontract, but yet not a subcontractor. So in order for you to understand that is, if someone works for you, they are an employee. If someone works at their own rate, pace, volume, on time, off time, whatever that is, and you call them in for something, that's called a subcontract. Now, those are the differences between an employee and a subcontractor. Now, knowing that with the CNN article, I'm going to have AI Bob give you an information of kind of what's going on with it. So we're going to start with what he says about it and what their article reads. And again, this is credited to CNN Business, and they are Jennifer Henderson and Ramesh Maraf contributed to this report. So they actually made this, but it rang true for just a moment to say, okay, here. And when we're done with this, we're going to talk about why government shouldn't be involved in business. Hands down, you heard it right. The government should not be involved in how businesses operate, how they do their job, how they do anything. Because like typical government, I'm here from the government, we're here to help. You never want to hear that. Ever, 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 ever. So stand by. We're gonna play this. AI Bob's going to read this off to you, and then we're going to talk about why, what, and where, i.e. Minneapolis getting involved. Stand by.
We support a minimum earning standard for drivers, but it should be done in an honest way that keeps the service affordable for riders, said a Lyft spokesperson. Uber said in a statement obtained by CNN that it's disappointed the council chose to ignore the data and kick Uber out of the Twin Cities, putting 10,000 people out of work and leaving many stranded. Mayor Jacob Fry, a Democrat, said he supports a minimum wage for rideshare drivers but opposed the ordinance because it didn't factor in a Minnesota state study that analyzed how much drivers should be paid. Everyone wants to see Uber and Lyft drivers get paid more. But getting a raise doesn't do a whole lot of good if you lose your job. There will be a massive impact felt by our region. A Lyft driver's lounge in San Francisco, California, U.S., on Tuesday, May 2, 2023. Lyft Incorporated is expected top release earnings figures on May 4th. Photographer, David Paul Morris / Bloomberg via Getty Images. Related article: a typo in Lyft's earnings release sends stock soaring. Briefly, the ordinance mandates rideshare drivers make at least $1.40 per mile and 51 cents per minute within Minneapolis. However, the analysis Fry referred to showed lower numbers, 89 cents per mile and 49 cents per minute, to make minimum wage. We shouldn't be afraid of data, we should be embracing it. We shouldn't be ignoring studies that come out, we should be utilizing them and creating the best possible policy, Fry told WCCO-TV. The mayor is imploring local politicians to come up with a solution before May 1st. The rideshare services say that user prices would double if they stayed in the city. Minneapolis is debating the minimum wage as gig workers across the country are advocating for fair wages and job benefits. Cities and states have attempted to pass legislation in recent years amid the growth of the gig economy, or freelance work through apps like Uber and Grubhub, but have generally been met with fierce opposition. Last year, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, a Democrat, also vetoed a bill that would have set a minimum wage for rideshare drivers, saying it would make Minnesota one of the most expensive states in the country for rideshare. Lyft previously told CNN that the bill would be detrimental to drivers, who would ultimately earn less, because prices could double and only the most wealthy could still afford a ride. In 2020, California passed Proposition 22, which was backed by more than $200 million from the most influential gig economy companies. The controversial ballot measure allows Uber and Lyft to treat drivers as independent contractors rather than employees. While it was a major win for Uber and Lyft, it did include a minimum earnings guarantee, excluding the time a driver spends waiting for a gig. Last June, New York City announced a new minimum pay rate for food app delivery workers amid the rise in the use of services like Uber Eats and DoorDash since the pandemic. Uber and other food delivery apps sued the city in July, maintaining that the law would hurt delivery workers more than help them. CNN's Jennifer Henderson and Ramisha Maroof contributed to this report.
All right, guys, how'd you like that one? That one's kind of a thing and a half. Here's why. We have a government, a city of Minneapolis. I don't even know how do you describe these guys? Do you describe them as the Mos Eisley Cantina, the one that you see in Star Wars, where everybody's a different species, and I don't even know. These guys they're out of their mind. They're crazy, but they're out there and they're telling you how that Uber and Lyft is going to, first of all, pay a certain amount of money, and at what point does any government entity, i.e. your city council, i.e. your state of whatever, tell you what there's going to be a minimum order, a minimum finance of what they're going to make? I mean, I understand they're trying to play hero and save the world and life's good and what have you, but who put them in charge? You voted them in, so the people that voted them in are the ones that don't work for a living, who want to tell everyone else how to live for a living, to what they can make for a living. A whiskey tango foxtrot's going on here. Come on, guys. This ain't even making any sense. So the people that don't work for a living, who vote for a living, are telling the people who who are out there actually working for a living, the Lyft drivers, the food deliveries, the DoorDashes, what they're going to do with their companies. I can only imagine there's about a handful of state and federal laws that these guys are embarking on to put restrictions on these companies. Now, I would say, yeah, if you're putting toxic dump in the world and, they're coming out and people, your neighbors are turning green and growing 6 legs and, okay, I see that. I get that. That's for the good of the community. But like AI Bob says, and like Uber and Lyft, and they say, look, if you impose this, only the rich people can afford to do this. Now, we had a little conversation in our last episode, our last segment about who can afford to do what. And if you got the only rich guys riding the Lyft and Ubers, I guess you don't need a LRT then, light rail transit. I think you can get rid of the buses now too. As long as we're doing this, let's get retroactive and turn everything off. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go back and say, well, Met Council, we don't need your help anymore. Luckily, you've enacted a plan that will save us all from ourselves. And you can go back and now we don't need you. We're good. Let's turn that off. Unappointed position by who knows who. Put term limits on that program. All right, so you got a government agency, a city. Not the state, not the feds, not God Almighty, not Allah, not whoever you pray to, coming down and saying, hey, Luberift, we're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and if you don't like it, we're going to stop you as of May 1st, 2024. Too bad you don't like it. But here's the caveat in that, people. They've said this from this Maz Eisley Cantina. That's the bar in Star Wars, the first one where it's dimly lit tavern known for strong drinks, hot tunes, and occasional outbreaks of shocking violence. I think that describes Minneapolis pretty well. You heard me. The Maz Eisley Cantina. Yeah, look it up. It's funnier than it's not. It's like, yeah, that kind of sounds like Minneapolis. Could be wrong. You might be wondering why I'm banging on Minneapolis. Well, because, sometimes there's common sense and then there's these guys. Everybody around the bar's got their third antenna or an eye or a bing bong or a whatever they're made of, making decisions for us. Is that who you have in your government agencies, wherever you are in the world? Again, this is a global show. I know I'm picking on Minneapolis and U.S. at this time because sometimes you just got to sit back and go, I don't get it. If that's what you got going on, you need to fix this at your voting poll. Undo this. Turn this around. Put common sense back in there. Where's the days of Reagan? Where's the days of JFK? Where are the days of the common sense guys who says, regardless of your political affiliation, what makes sense makes sense? It's okay. Circling back to what makes sense. I don't want a government in my business. I don't want them telling me how to pay who and for what. You shouldn't want them to tell you how to pay your Uber driver. The Uber driver shouldn't want the city to be telling them what they can and can't do. Or what? You're not going to be picked up in the city limits? Who's going to watch that? At what point is the city of Minneapolis, Murderapolis, going to get into Uber and Lyft's communication network, their hub, their dispatching system? How are they going to do that and say, you guys are picking up fares where you shouldn't be? Now, here's where this comes back to. I'm Minneapolis. My LRT is a miserable disaster. My bus ridership is down. They don't pay when they get on there. They jump the gate, they get in there. It's a cesspool of crime, the LRT. And nobody wants to ride them, so they'll Uber and Lyft. They'll pay the $10, $20, $50. I don't even know. I don't even Uber, so I'm guessing. I'll pick an Uber before I take an LRT. Wait a minute. Met Council is crying to the city of Minneapolis. Our down. We got, i.e. the taxes that we just talked about in the previous segment. We got to fund that. Okay, we're funding it, and we're still miserably failing as a city, as a state. And we keep voting that shit in. So if I was the city of Minneapolis, and I didn't want any competition, what would you do? What would you do to shut that competition off? Oh, wait. Let's impose some kind of a crappy snafu on your opposing people, your people that are against you. Let's see, light rail, you take out the opposition or the competition, and all of a sudden you're what's left. People have to get there somehow. Oh, now you're infringing upon my rights of freedom. You guys getting this? Are you following it? Are you seeing the big picture? Because I am. I don't like the competition. How does it go? That one goofy thing. Never cheat the IRS. They don't like the competition. Yeah, that's what's going on here. I don't know. I'm seeing some mighty different things here than most people are seeing. Or maybe they're just not choosing to pay attention, which is okay. But then listen to some guys who you do trust and you do align your methods with, the way you talk, the way you interact. I mean, sooner or later, you got to have somebody to look forward to or with and say, it don't make no sense either. So here you have it. State of Minnesota has their sets of rules. LRT has their sets of rules. Minneapolis has their sets of rules. How many rules we got to have? And how many times we need them to tell us the rules? The Met Council has their sets of rules. I don't know. I think I had enough rules for a while. Common sense ain't common enough. But to impose a tax, to limit the people who are coming in, to force them to pay a certain amount. When you're subcontracting, that's the official rule there now. They are subcontracting to Uber, Lyft, or Eats, or DoorDash, or whatever it is their faction might be. Now we're going to tell our subcontractors what they should make. Oh boy, you guys, you got to listen to that. That doesn't even sound logical. So what do you do then? Who's in control? It ain't you. Is it the Mosley Elsley Cantina? Or Moss Eisley? Isley? I don't even know. I mean, I can't even pronounce the second name of it, Moss Eisley. If anybody knows that, send me an email. Or on Hatebook. Give me a Hatebook message. MOSEISLEY Cantina. Again, that is a dimly lit tavern known for its strong drinks, hot tunes, and occasional outbreaks of shocking violence. Man, does that sound like Minneapolis. So pick your favorite character. Send him on in. Let's see what that's going on there. And I can't squeal enough about these guys. I don't even know where to begin on half of these guys. You just sit back and go, oh, come on, guys. There's got to be something better you can do. Please do something better in life. Keep me out of it. So, HuttCast, we have a lot of things going on locally, too, and some breaking news this morning that was started last night. Can't talk about them quite yet. Would certainly love to have a conversation about it, but we got some people locally all upset about how things get out in the news. Some call it inaccurate. Some call it wrong. But when someone else says it, it's all accurate and right. Apparently they forgot who voted them in. Interesting how that is. But HuttCast is going to pull the pin. We've had 15 minutes and 58 seconds into this one. 16 minutes, okay. And thanks for all listening. Sorry about the delay in some of my posts. Watch the Hatebook site. We've got a lot of stuff going on there. We're still seeing a lot of people across the nation, across the world. They're listening in. Appreciate every feedback. Again, I can only get back to so many of you. and in so many languages. I can only talk 2, binary and English, so be in those 2 if you can. Other than that, I'll try and Googleize it and respond if I can. So HuttCast is calling it a day in my underground bunker location, getting hammered on by snow. Be well, everybody, and remember, you run the government does not run you.
And that's a wrap for HuttCast. HuttCast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for HuttCast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.